Hey everybody, happy Testimony Tuesday. So for today, I wanted to talk about giving. And you can take this as giving money, giving time, giving care, just giving in general. It's something that is very clearly demonstrated. Old Testament, New Testament, we're called to be very giving, generous, loving, caring people. So specifically, there was a point in my life where I came home from being in the Navy and I had pretty much blown through all of my savings. I was young. I was going through like a really rough spot mentally and emotionally, and it made me make some pretty poor financial decisions. And I finally got to the point where I was turning my life around. I had come back to Christ at this point and started thinking about like how can I pick these pieces back up. And one of those pieces that needed picked up quickly was financially. So I had blown through everything, like I said, and started incurring some credit card debt. Not the best thing to do, but it had happened. And I was at a certain point that I would consider like my low point financially in my life, where I was in between roommates, living in an apartment, couldn't afford it anymore. I was going to school full time. I was working part time at a job. Hours weren't great. Also, probably didn't have the greatest work ethic. Probably could have done some like late nights and some early mornings, but like I said, I was in school. I was tired. I was trying to study and all that stuff. So I got to a point where my phone was shut off because I didn't pay my bill. I didn't have money for rent. I had no food in my fridge. I had no dog food, and I had Cooper. It was right when I first got Cooper, and I was just kind of at a tough spot. And I can remember taking like the last bit of bologna I had, and then like giving him that bologna for dinner for a couple days, until finally I had to just like ask my dad. I had to humble myself. It wasn't something I was great at the time. Be like, hey, I need dog food. I can't feed your grandpuppy right now. Which it's embarrassing for a guy. It shouldn't be. Well, we should be able to go to people for help easier, but I put myself in that situation. I was very embarrassed about it. And I remember there was just this sermon at church that was just talking about like, hey, it's about giving what you can. It's about doing what you can. And I had like recently started getting more involved with my church, and I was already giving time, and I was already giving care and prayer and all these other things. I was not giving any kind of financial commitment, or it was just all my money was mine. I was managing it myself. God really had nothing to do with what was going on with my money, and it was completely in the toilet. So I kind of just thought to myself, like, I don't have much to give, but I'm going to start now. And I just started being generous where I could. And I believe this is truly the heart of God, is being generous in your abundance and being generous when you can and when you're called to be. So, I mean, like, if I went to church on Sunday and I had $3 in my pocket that was leftover change from getting lunch, I would give that. If, somebody was a couple bucks short at their McDonald's, I'd help out with that. I mean, I was probably doing less than like $20 a month, at first. And it kind of created this thing where I was being more generous, and I did start getting better with my money. And I feel like this next part is really like a God thing, where he was kind of like answering what was going on in my life. I was able to get a loan that helped me pay off those credit cards, and I now had a much lower interest rate. And it also kind of helped me get back up on my feet. And I was like, well, I can manage things now. I ended up getting a more stable roommate, or just a roommate in general, and my finances turned around. And as they turned around, I became more generous. And it just kept going and going. And now me and my wife, I'd like to think that like we really try to live by that. We really try to help people. We try to give to what we can. I'm not saying that as a boastful thing. I'm not saying it to stand in the middle of the square and say, look at what we're doing. It's nothing like that at all. I just want to say that like God is with you in that generosity. He will be more generous than you. That doesn't mean that you should give all your money to your local church, although there's nothing wrong with doing that. It just means that everything you give in his name, he will use. Whether that is a minute of your time, or $1 of your money, or just a couple thoughts, some prayers, God will use what you give him every single time, and what he's able to do with that is better than what you're going to be able to do on your own. Pray about your finances. Pray about your time. Pray about what you care about, how you care about it. Hopefully it's not just yourself, hopefully it's others. And just open your heart to God with everything you have and watch what he does. That was a short one. Love you guys. Leave any comments down, questions. Take care.